Hello everyone and welcome back. The Oriental Garden is a nice change of pace from the previous level. I actually like it quite a lot. I also really like Doomguy's weird dolphin jump. I can't pull it off with any degree of consistency, but it is funny when it happens. I can't really point to why I like this level so much better than the previous two. I guess it's in part because most of the level isn't spent in gloomy, cramped caves with boring music playing. I'm not even sure where this track comes from, but it's upbeat and that's really all you can ask for at the end of the day. This level doesn't introduce any new enemies and it doesn't have any new weapons for us to find. In fact, once we get the weapon in the next video, new weapons will move to a once per world affair. That does help the base Doom 2 problem of where you have 32 levels and have all 9 weapons by the time you get done with the first quarter of the game. This is something of a problem with the hack. There's a lot of enemy ambushes where you open a door or turn a blind corner and get a face full of an attack you wouldn't necessarily see coming. It's a dick move no matter what the circumstances. Mercifully it isn't a hit scan enemy, which I don't believe the hack has any of. I have a lot of bad memories of turning a blind corner in Wolfenstein 3D and losing 85% of my health points because of an ambush. Also, yeah, the pistol is the only weapon in the game where you have to wait for these man-eating plants to sprout. Everything else you can just hit them while they're in their bud form and they'll die before too long. It's actually kinda nice. Pretty sneaky, huh? Gotta keep your eyes peeled to spot all the different hiding spots for the big coins. I've been informed that these guys are actually called sniffets. I'm probably just going to keep calling them Shy Guys because that's what I've been calling them in my head for a while now, and it rolls off the tongue better than Sniffet. Anyway, there's several different varieties of these guys. Each one shoots in a different pattern. Red ones shoot a single bullet, blue ones shoot a series of 3 bullets, and I'm fairly certain the green ones we'll see later shoot in a spread pattern. There's also purple and yellow ones, I'm pretty sure, but I have no idea what they shoot in because they're so rare that I never saw them enough to make the associations. You know, this level is sort of giving me original Build Engine Shadow Warrior vibes. It's some combination of the architecture, the aesthetics, and the music. Thankfully, Doomguy is no Lo Wang, and for that I'm sure we're all immensely grateful. Also, the tentacles are completely helpless if you attack them from outside of their attack range. The assault rifle is one of the best weapons to use against them anyway because of how accurate and fast it is, so being able to use it to take them out without any trouble is just icing on the cake. This underwater section does a pretty good job of highlighting why they're not very good. It's just a straight hallway, but every 10 feet we have to stop to take out 3 more fish and 2 more tentacles. There's no challenge in doing so, and the encounters are always the same. The level designer could have varied this up more, or just made the hallway shorter, so it wasn't a total waste of the player's time. This section is a lot better in my opinion. It ditches the claustrophobic underwater cave in favor of a wide open platforming challenge. This is where the hack shines the brightest, when you're not in cramped tunnels and instead have to do some devilishly difficult platforming. Also, and perhaps most importantly, it's not the same 2 enemies copied and pasted over and over again. Honestly, I'm not even sure myself how I dodged some of those bullets flying across the chasm. I also want to apologize for the stutter stepping here. Running around confidently on these tiny platforms is a great way to see what a bottomless pit looks like up close and personal. Poor imps are stuck on those tiny platforms like Koopa Troopas. At least they weren't shooting at us, though that would have been a fun wall of fireballs to dodge. Fun fact, jumping up here was the hard part. With a little self-confidence and a decent running start, you can skip half those platforms on the way back down. I know I complain a lot, but I really do like this hack overall. Doom Guy being ridiculously mobile is a pretty large reason why. Being able to skip jumping puzzles with enough of a running start is great for speed running through levels, and it's a lot of fun. That's the first checkpoint, by the way. This was the level that originally trained me to use the quick save feature. I made that last platforming challenge look fairly easy, but that took a lot of tries my first time through. Failing at the last second and having to replay the entire level up to that point was seriously demotivating. This part of the level actually looks like something that could have been in one of the 3D Mario games. Something about this large wooden plank in particular gives me very strong Mario 64 vibes. Another fairly clever big coin hiding spot is coming up. You can probably already make a pretty educated guess about where it is. Yeah, right there. That plant sure was going off about something. I'm not sure what grievance they had with the platform, but I'm glad they could work out their differences amicably. This large building is a pretty good spot for a quick save. It's relatively safe and it has a health and ammo resupply. Well, safe-ish, if you don't count the resident Hell Knight. We're actually coming up on the last section of the level now. If you just looked at the YouTube seek bar, you might see that we still have full half of the video to go. The last part of the level is a long and tedious slog that takes place in an actual, literal maze. I'm not even kidding a little bit. Even better, it's a maze where the only 4 inhabitants are evil plants, Shy Guys, Pinkies, and Hell Knights. Also, the final big coin requires us to backtrack across fully half of it. It's a really weird thing to include, and it really drags down the back half of what is an otherwise excellent level. Also, it's just the first of several hedge mazes in the game. I guess every first-person map maker has to go through a maze phase. It would certainly account for the Nosferatu sewers section of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I think the worst part about the maze is that it slows down the action so much. If you don't do what I'm doing here and peek around the corners, you get blindsided by enemies waiting in ambush. Honestly, the hedge maze is barely a maze, because it's just a couple of linear paths that loop back around on each other. More than anything, I can't wait to get to the really good levels. The ones where I don't have to attach a qualifying statement like with this one. This would be a great level were it not for the underwater cave and the hedge maze. Water cave would be a good level were it not for the titular cave, and so on. I'm starting to think I'm just not a fan of cavern-style areas. You can also tell when I've run out of things to say about a level because the commentary gets even more sparse than usual and it starts turning super critical. Everything I said about the earlier underwater section holds true here. It's all about twice as long as it needs to be. The enemies make it even more tedious. Future hedge mazes aren't nearly as terrible as this one, and one of them has an enemy that can resurrect other enemies as much as it wants to. With all that complaining out of the way, I'm going to endeavor to be less down on the game. The hedge maze isn't the worst thing in the world, and it does give you an opportunity to turn a corner and load with both barrels into whatever's trying to ambush you. Yep, I was right. Green shot guys shoot in a spread pattern. They're one of the less common variants, but it's still good to know what they can do so that when they do appear, you aren't caught with your pants down. Also, there's the big coin. The switch that opens the bars is right next to the one that opens the exit. We still got most of the maze to go before we can find it, so just keep its location in the back of your mind for now. We'll be back sooner rather than later. I also appreciate how the maze is divided up into sections, so you aren't wandering all up and down its length looking for the right switch. It's kept nice and linear, and when we do have to return for the big coin, it's a quick 30-second trip, all the way from the end. And yes, I did time it. In the preview video, it's seriously 30 seconds. For as long as the maze actually is, that's pretty impressive. Also, as a bonus, this is the last section. The next switch we flip will be the one that opens up the exit. So while I do think my earlier criticisms still hold as true, the maze is nowhere near as bad as it could have been. And comparing it to the Nosferatu was just me being bitter. It's nowhere near that bad. Also, a few things are quite as satisfying as double tapping a shot guy from across the room with a shotgun, especially one of those jerk blue guys. This fork here is the only real bit of non-linearity in the maze. One way leads to the currently locked exit and the other leads to the switch. I'll be showing the exit off first and then we'll double back. That didn't take very long. Time to double back already. A constructive criticism that I would probably give the author would be that the maze is a great time to introduce a new enemy type to keep players on their toes. There are a lot of demons in this hack, and most of them are backloaded, so putting one here as an introduction would go a long way to shaking things up. Keeping things from getting too stale in an area like this would only work to the game's benefit. The assault rifle is seriously such a good weapon. Decent stopping power, fast shooting speed, and the reload animation is shorter than the shotguns. The upgraded version is even better, although sadly we won't get that until we're more than halfway done with the whole game. Also, this bush here is hiding the switch that opens the last big coin. And now that we've opened the exit, time to backtrack all the way to the big coin, and then we can finally be free from Hedge Maze Hell. I probably could have cut the return trip out, but it's only 30 seconds of walk time back, and that wouldn't have made the video appreciably shorter. Let's get the hell out of here. And while we do that, I want to thank you all for watching once again. The next video is going to be a little bit longer, but it's also a 2-for-1 deal. We'll first be tackling the Spider Mansion to get introduced to the ghost houses of the game, and then we'll hit up the world's final level, Kalesic Castle. See y'all then. The first boss is waiting.